They say seeing is believing, but what if the person you're seeing is you? Tonight, we're diving into 7 chilling encounters with doppelgangers, real stories from people who claim to have seen their perfect double in places they never should have been. These aren't tales of ghosts or demons. These are encounters with something far more unsettling: yourself. Story 1. The Second Me at the Door.
I live alone in a small, quiet apartment complex just outside the city. It's the kind of place where you hear every neighbor's footsteps and the occasional dog barking through the walls. Nothing ever really happens here. That's why what I'm about to tell you has shaken me to my core, and I still don't have an explanation. It was a Thursday night. I remember because I had just finished binge-watching the last few episodes of a crime documentary, and it left me feeling a little paranoid. I turned off the TV, locked the front door like always, and went through my usual bedtime routine. Brushed my teeth, set my alarm, double-checked the deadbolt, even though I already knew it was locked. I was just about to crawl into bed when I heard a knock at the door. Not loud, not urgent, just soft, almost polite. At first, I thought I imagined it. Who knocks at 12:30 in the morning? I stayed still, trying to convince myself it was just a noise from the hallway or someone knocking on the wrong door. But then it came again. 2 gentle knocks, evenly spaced. I grabbed my phone, not to call anyone, but just to have it in hand. Something felt off. I tiptoed toward the door and looked through the peephole, holding my breath. And that's when I saw her. Me. Same face, same messy bun, same oversized hoodie and pajama pants I was wearing right then. She was standing completely still, head slightly tilted, looking straight at the door like she knew I'd be watching. I froze. My first thought was that I was dreaming or hallucinating, but I wasn't. I blinked, rubbed my eyes, looked again. She was still there. I didn't know what to do. Open the door? Call the police? I stepped back, heart racing, when my phone buzzed in my hand. It was a call from Jenna, my best friend. I answered immediately, whispering, "Hello?" Her voice came through, sounding confused. "Why are you standing outside my house?" I swear my blood went cold. I stammered, "What? What are you talking about?" "I'm home. There's someone outside my apartment who looks just like me." There was a pause on her end. Then she said, "I just looked through the blinds." "She's wearing your hoodie, the gray one with the bleach stain on the sleeve. She's just standing there staring at my front door." I didn't know what to say. I backed away from my door and told Jenna to lock hers. Then I made a mistake. I looked through the peephole one more time. She was gone. No footsteps, no sound, nothing. I called Jenna back and told her to stay inside. We stayed on the phone for almost an hour, both too freaked out to sleep. Eventually, I crashed on the couch with all the lights on. The next morning, I checked the hallway and even asked a couple neighbors if they'd seen anyone strange. Of course, no one had. I haven't seen her again since that night. But I've started noticing little things, subtle things. Items in my apartment moved just slightly. The bathroom light flicked on once in the middle of the night. And sometimes, when I pass a mirror too quickly, I swear there's a half-second delay before my reflection moves. I know how crazy this all sounds, but I also know what I saw, and I'm terrified that whatever was at my door that night wasn't just pretending to be me. It might be trying to replace me.
Story 2. He answered the Zoom before I did.
I've been working from home ever since the pandemic started. It's nothing glamorous, just a basic customer support job, but it pays the bills and lets me wear sweatpants every day, so I'm not complaining. Our team has daily check-in calls at 9 a.m. sharp, cameras on. No excuses. I'm not a morning person, so I usually roll out of bed at 8:55, splash water on my face, and log in at the last possible second. But one morning, last month, something weird happened. Really weird. I woke up at 8:50, right on time, sat down at my desk, opened my laptop, and went to join the Zoom meeting. That's when I saw something strange. The meeting had already started, and I was already in it. My full name, was listed in the participant list, and my video was on. At first, I thought maybe I'd left it open overnight, like it was still running in the background somehow, but no. This was live. The weirdest part, everyone was already talking to me. I hesitated, just staring at my screen. I watched me nodding along, responding to questions, even smiling. The voice wasn't audible yet because I hadn't joined, but my coworkers were laughing, making casual comments. I even saw my manager say, "Good insight, man." That's exactly what I was thinking. What insight? I hadn't said a word. I finally clicked join with audio and video, and the screen flickered as I entered the meeting. That's when everything stopped. My coworkers all went silent. Their faces just froze. My manager raised an eyebrow and said, "Wait, didn't you just log in?" Someone else whispered, "He's already here." I tried to play it off, acting like maybe there was a glitch. "Sorry guys, I just joined now, tech issues maybe?" No one said anything for a few seconds. Then someone, Jamie from HR, said, "You were already in the call. We saw you. You were talking to us. You even made a joke about my background filter." I hadn't, I swear on everything. I had just joined. I shrugged it off, laughing awkwardly. Must have been a bug. Zoom's been acting up lately. But here's where it gets worse. Later that afternoon, I checked the meeting recording in the shared drive just out of curiosity. I figured it would help me figure out what happened. What I saw still haunts me. At 8:56 a.m., the recording starts, and there I am, already in the meeting. But it's not just me sitting silently. This version of me is talking, engaged, smiling. But the way I spoke, it wasn't quite right. My cadence was off. My smile held too long, and my eyes never blinked, not once. The fake version of me disappears from the screen the second I join. No fade out, no disconnect, just gone. I showed the video to Jenna, my girlfriend, and she immediately said, "That's not you, it looks like you." But it's not. Since then, I've noticed other strange things. My webcam light turns on sometimes in the middle of the night. I've caught glimpses of myself on screen, even when Zoom isn't open. And twice now, my manager has mentioned conversations we've had that I swear never happened. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if someone's hacked my account or if something deeper is happening. All I know is there's something out there pretending to be me. And the scariest part? People seem to like him more than they like me.
Story 3. My sister tucked me in.
When I was 8, I used to get scared at night. Not of monsters or anything like that, but of the dark. I always thought I heard things moving in the shadows when the lights went out. That's why my sister Emily would tuck me in every night. She was 13, and even though she acted like I was annoying most of the time, she never missed a night. She'd pull my blanket up to my chin, smile, flick the light off, and say, "Good night, dummy." It made me feel safe. One night, after watching a scary movie at a friend's house, I came home already kind of on edge. My parents were out, so Emily was babysitting. I showered, brushed my teeth, and waited in bed for her to come say goodnight, like she always did. Right on time, she walked in. Her hair was dry and tied back in a bun like usual, and she was wearing her favorite hoodie. She smiled at me, pulled the blanket up, and even made that same stupid joke about how I should watch out for bed monsters. Then she turned off the light and left the room. A couple minutes later, I heard the bathroom door open, water running. Then footsteps down the hall. My bedroom door opened again, and there was Emily, standing in the doorway. But this time, her hair was wet, dripping onto her shirt. She blinked at me, confused. "Why are your lights off?" I sat straight up in bed. "You already came in," I said. "You tucked me in like 2 minutes ago." She looked at me weird. "No, I didn't. I just got out of the shower." We both stared at each other. Then I asked, "Christian, were you wearing your hoodie in the shower?" She looked down at her soaked shirt, just a tank top. She definitely hadn't been wearing a hoodie. I told her what happened, every detail. She didn't laugh. She didn't roll her eyes. She just went pale. That night, she stayed in my room with the lights on. We didn't talk much. The next morning, she told our parents something had happened, but they brushed it off. Said we'd imagined it, or maybe I'd been dreaming. But I know I wasn't. Whoever or whatever tucked me in that night looked exactly like Emily. Same voice, same expressions, but now, when I think back, I remember something was wrong with her eyes. Not scary, just too wide, too focused. Like whoever was behind them was trying too hard to look like her. After that, Emily never tucked me in again, and I don't blame her. Because sometimes, even now, I'll wake up in the middle of the night and feel the edge of my blanket slowly being pulled up to my chin. And when I look, no one's there.
Story 4. The passenger behind me.
I drive for a rideshare company to make extra money on weekends. It's usually easy, airport runs, drunk people going home, the occasional awkward conversation, nothing scary, until last month. It was just after 11 p.m. on a Saturday. I got a ping to pick someone up near a strip mall that was mostly closed down for the night. When I pulled into the lot, I saw a guy standing under one of the dim parking lot lights. He was wearing a hoodie, head down, hands in his pockets. He didn't look up until I rolled down the passenger window. "You James?" I asked. He looked up and nodded slowly. His face was mostly in shadow, but something about him looked familiar. I couldn't place it though. He got in without a word and sat directly behind me. Not diagonally like most people do, just silently, right behind the driver's seat. That alone put me on edge. I glanced in the rearview mirror to get a better look. That's when my stomach dropped. It was Marcus, a friend I hadn't seen in years. Same face, same lazy eye, same little scar on his chin from when we tried skateboarding down a stair rail in college. I said his name out loud like an idiot. "Marcus?" Silence. I looked back again. He didn't respond. I just stared straight ahead at the back of my seat. And it didn't make sense. Marcus had moved overseas for work. He was in Japan. We hadn't spoken in over a year. I tried to check the app, but the ride was listed under a name I didn't recognize. I figured it had to be a weird coincidence. Maybe I was tired. Maybe this guy just looked a lot like him. Still, I drove. He gave me no directions, no conversation, just sat there the whole time. No phone, no movement, just sitting. I glanced back again, and that's when I realized something was off. His reflection in the rearview mirror wasn't quite right. I could see him perfectly in the mirror, but his face didn't match his posture. It was turned ever so slightly toward me, even though his head hadn't moved. It felt like he was watching me through the reflection. We were almost at the drop-off point, an apartment complex on the edge of town, when he suddenly leaned forward and whispered, "You should stop driving nights." His voice was low, flat. It didn't sound like Marcus. It didn't even sound human. I didn't respond. I just pulled up to the curb and waited for him to get out. But when I turned to say something, the backseat was empty. I didn't hear a door open, didn't feel the car shift. He was just gone. I sat there for what felt like forever, heart racing, trying to make sense of it. Later that night, I messaged Marcus just to check in. He responded the next morning. He's still in Japan, hadn't been home in 2 years, and when I told him what happened, he sent me a voice message. "Bro, I've been having dreams of sitting in the backseat of a car, watching someone who looks like you in the mirror, but it's not you, and I can't move. I just watch. I don't drive at night anymore, and sometimes when I'm in traffic, I still glance at the rearview mirror just to make sure the back seat is really empty."
Story 5. She was already in class.
I'm a second-year psych major at a small university, nothing special. My campus isn't huge, so professors know your name, your face, even when you skip class, which is what makes this whole thing so messed up. It happened last semester. I was running late to my 9 a.m. developmental psychology lecture. I'd stayed up too late the night before working on an essay for that exact class, and by the time I woke up, I had maybe 15 minutes to get there. I threw on a hoodie, grabbed my bag, and literally sprinted across campus. When I got to the lecture hall, the class was already in full swing. I slipped in as quietly as I could and found a seat in the back row, but as soon as I sat down, people started whispering. Not loud enough to hear words, just little murmurs, scattered giggles, then silence. I figured it was about me showing up late, so I just ignored it and started pulling out my notebook. That's when Professor Keller stopped mid-sentence. She stared at me, deadpan. "Didn't you just leave?" she asked. The whole room turned to look at me. I blinked. "What?" "You came in earlier," she said slowly. "You handed in your essay. You sat in the second row for 20 minutes. Then you walked out." I laughed awkwardly. "No, I've been asleep. I just got here." One of the girls near the front raised her hand and said, "I saw her too. She sat right next to me." Another guy added, "She answered that question about Piaget stages." At this point, I thought I was being pranked, like maybe this was a weird psychology experiment or something. Then, Professor Keller walked to her desk, picked up a sheet of paper, and held it up. It was my essay, same title, same format, same handwriting, only I never printed it. It was still on my laptop at home. She handed it to me, and I skimmed it. Everything was there, word for word. But the last paragraph, I never wrote that. It wasn't even related to the assignment. It talked about mirroring consciousness and how one version always leaves first, whatever that meant. I left class early. My hands were shaking. I got back to my dorm, opened the essay file, and sure enough, that last paragraph wasn't there. It ended exactly where I remembered stopping. Later that week, I asked Professor Keller if she still had the sign-in sheet from that day. She said yeah. I found my name signed twice, once at 8:54 a.m. and again at 9:22 a.m., right when I walked in. Same handwriting, same signature. I've started noticing people giving me strange looks on campus now, like they recognize me from somewhere but can't place it. And every now and then when I pass a building with reflective glass, I swear I see myself walking just a few steps behind me, always just out of sync.
Story 6. The security footage wasn't me.
I work in a corporate office building downtown, nothing fancy, just a normal 9 to 5. Our building's got 3 floors, key card access, motion-sensitive lights, and more security cameras than you'd expect for a place that mostly processes paperwork. I've always felt safe there, until about 3 weeks ago. I had just gotten back from a weekend trip, left Friday night, came back Sunday. On Monday morning, my manager asked if I could stop by the building supervisor's office before I started my shift. Weird, but I didn't think much of it. When I got there, the building manager, Dan, was sitting behind his desk with this kind of stiff, uncomfortable look on his face. He didn't say much, just motioned for me to sit and turned his monitor toward me. "Security called me about something that happened over the weekend," he said. "Thought you should see this." Then he played the footage. It was from 2:46 a.m. Saturday night. The camera showed the 3rd floor hallway, our floor, lights off, totally still. Then I walked into frame. Same jacket I wear to work, same walk, same face. At first, I thought it was old footage, maybe a glitch replaying a previous recording. But Dan skipped ahead. 2:58 a.m., 3:15, 3:42, and I kept showing up, walking the halls, trying door handles, standing completely still in front of cameras for minutes at a time, watching. Dan said nothing, just stared at me like he was waiting for an explanation. "I wasn't here," I said. "I was out of town. I can show you receipts, photos, anything." He nodded slowly, but I could tell he didn't believe me. Then he clicked on another file, still footage, same night. It showed me, again, standing in front of the break room fridge back to the camera. I didn't move, just stood there for nearly 20 minutes. Dan leaned in and said, "This part's what really bothered me." At the 20-minute mark, the figure, me, turned around and looked directly at the camera. Not into it, through it. And then it smiled. Not like a normal smile. It was wide, way too wide, like someone trying to mimic what a smile should look like. Then the lights went out. When they came back on 2 seconds later, I was gone. The camera showed nothing after that. I never appeared again. Not that night. Not ever. Dan didn't report it. He said he figured maybe it was a glitch. But he told me quietly, if you remember anything at all, let me know. That night, I tore my apartment apart looking for signs that maybe someone had broken in. Tried to figure out if someone could have stolen my face, my badge, anything. Nothing. And then I checked the timestamps on some security photos from my trip. A few were missing. Just gone. The next morning I walked into the building like usual, but as I passed the front desk, the guard didn't say hi. He just looked at me with this quiet stare and said, "You're back early." I haven't watched any more footage since then, but sometimes, on the 3rd floor, I swear I hear footsteps behind me when I stay late. Soft ones, pacing. And when I glance at the security monitors in the break room, I always check for something out of place. Not if I'm on screen, but if I'm already there.
Story 7. I watched myself sleep.
I work in a corporate office building downtown. Nothing fancy, just a normal 9 to 5. Our building's got 3 floors, key card access, motion-sensitive lights, and more security cameras than you'd expect for a place that mostly processes paperwork. I've always felt safe there. Until about 3 weeks ago. I had just gotten back from a weekend trip, left Friday night, came back Sunday. On Monday morning, my manager asked if I could stop by the building supervisor's office before I started my shift. Weird, but I didn't think much of it. When I got there, the building manager, Dan, was sitting behind his desk with this kind of stiff, uncomfortable look on his face. He didn't say much, just motioned for me to sit and turned his monitor toward me. "Security called me about something that happened over the weekend," he said. "Thought you should see this." Then he played the footage. It was from 2:46 a.m. Saturday night. The camera showed the 3rd floor hallway, our floor, lights off, totally still. Then I walked into frame. Same jacket I wear to work, same walk, same face. At first, I thought it was old footage, maybe a glitch replaying a previous recording. But Dan skipped ahead, 2:58 a.m., 3:15, 3:42, and I kept showing up, walking the halls, trying door handles, standing completely still in front of cameras for minutes at a time. Watching. Dan said nothing, just stared at me like he was waiting for an explanation. "I wasn't here," I said. "I was out of town. I can show you receipts, photos, anything." He nodded slowly, but I could tell he didn't believe me. Then he clicked on another file. Still footage, same night. It showed me, again, standing in front of the break room fridge, back to the camera. I didn't move, just stood there for nearly 20 minutes. Dan leaned in and said, "This part's what really bothered me." At the 20-minute mark, the figure, me, turned around and looked directly at the camera, not into it, through it, and then it smiled. Not like a normal smile. It was wide, way too wide, like someone trying to mimic what a smile should look like. Then the lights went out. When they came back on 2 seconds later, I was gone. The camera showed nothing after that. I never appeared again. Not that night. Not ever. Dan didn't report it. He said he figured maybe it was a glitch, but he told me quietly, "If you remember anything at all, let me know." That night, I tore my apartment apart looking for signs that maybe someone had broken in. Tried to figure out if someone could have stolen my face, my badge, anything. Nothing. And then I checked the timestamps on some security photos from my trip. A few were missing, just gone. The next morning, I walked into the building like usual. But as I passed the front desk, the guard didn't say hi. He just looked at me with this quiet stare and said, "You're back early." I haven't watched any more footage since then, but sometimes, on the 3rd floor, I swear I hear footsteps behind me when I stay late. Soft ones, pacing, and when I glance at the security monitors in the break room, I always check for something out of place, not if I'm on screen, but if I'm already there.
If you're still here, you might want to check your reflection and make sure it's moving when you do. Doppelganger encounters are some of the creepiest stories we've ever come across because they blur the line between reality and something just off. Have you ever seen yourself when you knew it couldn't be you? Share your story in the comments below. And don't forget, subscribe to Hallowed Hauntings for more true scary stories, haunted encounters, and twisted tales that stay with you long after the video ends. Until next time, sleep tight and try not to answer the door when it's you on the other side.